Now you may recall that we called this div nav, but if you don't, you can always use the tag selector to double check the name. And let me show you another way to create a new style. You can just right-click anywhere on the page and go down to Styles and choose New. Now we want to create a style for nav, and Dreamweaver has a helpful feature here of trying to give you all of the elements you might want. Again, I'm not going to worry about the container. And at this point, all I want to do is create a style for nav itself. That is going to be an advanced style because it's an ID style. And I'll click OK. For nav, I want to set the box setting to have padding 10. It's going to give me a little cushion around the edge. And I'm going to set the block setting so that the text is aligned to center. And I'm going to set a background color so that it matches the green in the banner. Click OK. So you see already there's some differences to how this appears. Now we want to change the UL, or the unordered list style, inside this nav div. And again, there are a number of ways we can do this, but let's start by right-click, Style, New Style. Now, I'm going to be specific and indicate that I'm only changing the UL style when it appears inside a nav div. This is a somewhat advanced CSS concept, and we'll explore this more in the next couple of lessons. But the concept here to grasp is that I'm redefining an existing HTML tag, the UL tag, that creates an unordered list. But I'm only redefining it if that unordered list tag appears inside a div or inside a container whose ID is nav. In redefining the tag this way, I can get the styling I want in this part of the page without changing the way an unordered list will appear anywhere else in the page. So follow along with me for now. I'm redefining the unordered list tag in the nav div. And what I want to do first is simply to go to the box settings and set padding and margins to 0. Because the unordered list automatically adds an indent and a lot of extra spacing. So I want to just get rid of that so that I can control the spacing exactly the way I want it. So now let's create a new style for our list item. And if you right-click over here in the CSS panel, you can just choose New. It's probably the fastest shortcut to a new style. So this time I want nav, and I want to redefine the LI tag. If you're ever unsure exactly what that tag is, just drop down here to the tag selector, and if your cursor is inside an element, you'll see the tag appear here. So I know it's LI for list item. And again, Dreamweaver recognizes this is an advanced style, and I click OK. The first thing I want to do is to get rid of that bullet, because although unordered lists come with bullets in HTML, I find those bullets a little distracting from my design. So the easy way to get rid of the bullets is just to choose Type None from the list category. So if I apply, you'll see the bullets go away. Now if I want to change them from a vertical list to a horizontal list, I can choose Block. And the trick here is to set Display to Inline. And when I apply this, you see they all jump up side by side. But now I do want some spacing between each of these elements, so I'll use the box category to add back some margins, and I'll be specific here about the amount of margin I want between each element. So let's just put 10 right and left. Apply, and you see now the spacing between each element. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the bullets, we've turned it into a horizontal list, we've set some spacing, but we still have that ugly underline and it's still the classic standard blue link color. So let's change the look of that by redefining the link tags when they appear within the nav div. So again, I'm just going to right-click, CSS Styles, New. And this time, Dreamweaver correctly identified nav A. Again, if you're not familiar with HTML, this may still seem a little confusing. I promise you'll find a Survival HTML course in Part 2. But for now, there are just a few tags you want to start getting used to seeing. And one of the most important ones is the A tag, or the anchor tag. That's what's used to create links in HTML. So if I redefine the A or the anchor tag within the nav div, I'm going to change the way these links appear. So let's click OK. And let me move this up over here just so that we can better see what's going on. So first let's change the color of those links. So if I click on the color wheel here, and I want, let's say, a nice dark blue color. If you apply, you'll see right away that changes the color. Let's also make the text of these just a little bit smaller than the other text that appears on our pages. Now again, there are a number of ways to set the size of text in CSS, and we'll look at more of those in the next lesson. But for now, remember, at the beginning of this lesson, we set page properties, and we set the text to Verdana medium. Now if I want this just a little smaller than medium, I could set it to small. I could simply choose small, but that would make it a lot smaller. Watch. So it's much smaller that way. If I want it just a little smaller, I can do this. I'm going to set it to 90%. And when I apply, you see, now it's a little smaller than it was, but not as much smaller as small. And finally, let's get rid of that underline under the links, because I think it detracts from this design. To do that, you simply check None under Decoration. And now when I apply, you see the underline goes away. Okay,